Crazy Train again today. Again, we have Will Marbo, JJ the naturopath. That's what you call yourself, don't you? JJ the naturopath?
JJ.
Just JJ the naturopath?
JJ.
Juan Jose. Sometimes known as Juan Jose.
Nah, that's just bad.
Have you heard the joke about the two Mexican firemen?
You told me.
Jose Noseby and Ian Johnson.
You can.
Ian Johnson.
I don't know what they call me. They
Nick
call me
Johnson.
all sorts of names which can't be mentioned on this podcast right now. What do you call me? Names. They call me names.
Just Ian.
Just the Big Johnson.
The
Big
Big
Johnson. And today we're going to be talking about...
Referring to your height.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, there's nothing else to refer to.
That's right.
Today, we're going to be talking about, what are we talking about? The Red Pill Revolution in perspective of, I guess, it's kind of the opposite of feminism, but it's about men's rights, I guess, if you like, and or what's happening to men in modern society, and talking about that, the impacts that maybe feminism has had on men's rights and men's roles, and looking at, it's called the Red Pill Revolution out there, and there's some kind of extreme guys in there that go, back to almost sexism too far. But there is a group of guys that are sort of sitting in the middle going, okay, we need to find balance. We're stepping away from egalitarianism, if you like, where there is equality between the sexes, but then also recognising the masculinity and the masculine role, which I guess is pretty relevant to Sacred Masculinity Channel, but looking at what the role delineation is and where to find balance, what the masculine role is and the feminine role is, and I guess also how do we balance that back out again, because the pendulum had swung, I guess, too far one way, and basically one of the videos we looked at was a feminist, and her movie is called The Red Pill, and she went and started interviewing men who were in this movement, and she found herself kind of starting to look at their point of view and thinking, well, they weren't all sexist, there was relevance to their point, and was seeing a parallel between them and also where feminist was, and realised that feminism has gone too far, probably in some sectors, not all sectors obviously, and realised that she started sympathising with these guys and understanding where they were coming from, and is now a voice for that, and realising that there needs to be a swing of the pendulum back the other way, I guess, because we've swung too far, and then you see these other guys are swinging away over the other way, and it's time to kind of hopefully bring it back into a nice centre. So I want to throw it open to these two guys and see because it was my idea to bring this topic and see what they have to say about it, and then we'll let the conversation flow.
Cool. Did you watch the movie?
I'd seen it a couple of years ago.
Oh, so you've seen it? Okay.
I'll post the video link at the bottom of the video, so if anyone wants to watch it, down here. If anyone wants to watch it, they can. It's really interesting. And there is a full documentary. So the video we watched that I sent the guys was a TEDx talk, and it was basically a summary of the full documentary, but you can also watch the whole documentary where she goes and interviews these guys and talks to them. I haven't watched the whole documentary, but
Yeah, me neither.
But the synopsis gives you a good idea of what she's basically talking about. And I've heard other people talk about the same sort of things.
Cool.
So I watched that documentary a couple of years ago. I remember there were a couple of elements of it that were interesting. but mostly it just sort of all fell away into this, like kind of like irrelevance for me anyway. And then watching it again last night, I was able to really start picking it apart and seeing why I didn't like it. Yeah.
And you still not like it? Or
No, I think it's trash.
Yeah? Why do you
Yeah.
think it's trash?
Just playing the victim. That's all I saw. It was just there's constantly like the MRA guys always just spouting stats, thinking that that's the way to change stuff. Trying to change the system instead of changing themselves. Wants the system to take responsibility for them instead of them being responsible for what they're doing and what they want.
So this is the guys that she's interviewing? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was, I think it was like at like 40 minute, at the 40 minute mark, there was a dude talking about his story. And then maybe it was the way it was cut, but there was no point where you see him take responsibility for his part. It's always blame her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I haven't seen that, so I'm kind of going on what she says.
Well, even the idea of like having her to have to come in and like, it's one of the only real documentaries that has made any traction about this, and it has to be made by a woman for it to be a thing. And it just shines a light on the ineffectiveness of the whole movement, or the way that the movement's being created.
Is it because then men are scared to speak out about this stuff?
You watch the documentary.
Yeah.
I saw it like 2 times in that after that 40-minute period, and I heard him just not take responsibility. I turned it off.
Was this about the guy which guy was this one?
The guy with the glasses, he was...
Oh, he's talking about his kid.
His partner sabotaged him or got pregnant.
Yes.
But yeah, there's... What did you say, Ian? There was something, you said something. I was about to allude to
I
it.
said a few things.
Just now.
The recent thing that you just brought up.
Before we started, or
No,
Just now.
the question I asked.
Yeah.
What you didn't like about it?
Mm.
Or would have been better if if it, like you said, because of female brought it up. Would it be different? Was it a man? But are men too scared? There's like a lot of guys are too scared to speak up against the feministic move because there's such a backlash about it now. So a lot of guys just sit quiet about it. So the thing for me that I got from this, and having had this conversation with other women, is they go on about, and someone might hurt me out there, but I don't care. And I sat with a woman and had this conversation. She goes, "Women are so hard done by, blah, blah, blah." I had the same conversation with her. Well, there's more male suicides. There's no men's shelters. Like, how many women's shelters are there? There's more money that goes into breast cancer yet, and very little money goes into prostate cancer, but more men die from prostate cancer. So and look, I don't disagree with all that stuff for women, but where's the balance? Like, why isn't there all this stuff? And then there's just as much domestic violence against men. And I know that because my dad worked in the area, and he would tell me stories about guys who were getting hit by their wives. And I've had friends have the same thing happen to them, and I've had it happen to me. Like, I've had domestic violence, and like, I'm not going to go tell the coppers that this 5'2" woman's hit me, because they're just going to look at me and go, "Really, mate? You know, maybe I'm wrong, but so that's kind of where I was coming from with the conversation. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I mean, sure, there's people that are going to play the victim, and I'm not playing the victim here. I'm like, well, I think it's about bringing awareness to, okay, well, here's the pendulum's gone here. How do we bring it to awareness? And like you're saying, maybe a different way of bringing it to awareness would be better. And what is, because, you know, having gone through divorce and seeing how, and spending time with other guys who have gone through that and seeing previously, not so bad, it's gotten better, how out of balance that was in terms of child custody, and who got what money and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of guys just getting destroyed because they couldn't see their kids because of false allegations and that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen the other way, but it just seems to be, from my experience, predominantly used to be, and I think it has changed the other way. So it's about highlighting that stuff. And like she says, more guys die at work. Yeah, there's that whole swing of, you know, women want equality in the workplace, but you don't see them lining up for those jobs. You know, because it's more, it's not traditionally there's something to do, and they don't want to do it because it is dangerous.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was looking at.
But like that's one of the problems that I have with it, and even with the movement itself, is that's all the stats and that's all the information that's there. What can you do with it?
Yeah,
what can you do to make your life a little bit better, to make sure that doesn't affect you negatively?
So how would you?
Well, why is it like that? Why is that information there? And why they think that that's going to change?
Yeah,
because the MRA stuff is pretty much just feminism for guys.
Yeah, I agree.
So nonsense.
Yeah, it's just completely. That's why there's that. It's swung too far back again. It's going to keep doing this. What do we do? Because we're men. What do we do? Now we've recognised it. We're aware of it. What would we do to shift it?
You don't shift it. You get off the pendulum and you save yourself and the people around you.
You save yourself.
Yeah.
So how do you save yourself against the what could be considered discrimination?
What do you mean discrimination? The
Well,
jobs where all the guys are dying, don't work in the jobs. The situations where you're getting raped at divorce court, don't marry crazy. Like there's really easy ways to deal with this if you take responsibility for your part in all the things that's happening. And you're looking further forward instead
so
of
then our role is to educate other men. So that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I hear what you're saying, and you're saying, well, there needs to be action, because I know that's what you like, is action. So what action do we take to change? Yeah, and you're saying, okay, we've got to change the men. And how do we do that then? How do we get to the men and educate them and help them to change?
Well, first you have to save yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah? You have to come to an awareness that you can't save anyone else. And that maybe most people aren't going to want to be saved.
Right. So, but we're obviously at that point. How do we help other guys?
I don't think we are. Like, I'm still...
But you have the awareness that you need to save yourself.
So the documentary itself is kind of like in the sales world. It's like the top of the funnel type of thing. There's a thing that happens when people start internalizing a lot of the red pill information. They get the stats and they see it and they say, oh, this needs to change, this is a problem. And they get angry about it. And it's so you see it happen all the time with the guys. You get the MGTOWs, all the incels, all these other different movements are all just angry at the world because the world isn't aligning with
Yeah,
their
but
expectations.
that's those guys over here, but there's people like me who see it. I'm not angry about it. I think, okay, what can I do to help change it?
The problem is the expectations are out of alignment with reality, yeah? So you think it's a problem, it's not a problem. What really is a problem is what you think the way the world is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fair, it's supposed to be nice, and it's supposed to be flowers and rainbows.
Oh, I'm not saying that.
Well, that's what you're trying to fix everyone, you're trying to save everything. You want to change it, you're going to try to change it so that everyone gets a shot. Not everyone's going to get a shot. Not everyone gets a shot at being happy and having a fulfilled life.
I'm not saying I'm there to save everybody. I'm there to help save the guys, or help the guys who want to go that path. Otherwise,
What if I told you there's nothing you could do for them?
I'll just get on the
Even if
railway
you-
and not bother
even
and
if you
turn
told
up.
them,
I wouldn't
even-
even turn up here and have this conversation then.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even
Like-
turn up on a Sunday.
that's one of the strange parts though, is that you're not there for all the other people. You're there for yourself. That's what I mean by not jumping on the pendulum and just get off and do your own thing. Everything you do serves you because you want to do it, not because you want to do it for somebody else, because it might make you look like a good person.
You can do something without wanting to be looking like a good person. You can just
Yeah,
be doing something because you want to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't mean I want to look like a good person.
Yeah. That's what I
Could
mean.
just
Like,
because
you're
I
not,
feel like it's the right thing to do.
you're not doing it to present in a certain way. So yeah, you are actively choosing instead of letting other people's perceptions drive your direction and your choices. Yeah.
Say that again.
So you are actively choosing what you want to do instead of letting other people's perceptions of you or what you think other people will perceive you as drive your actions.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
actively choosing. Are you saying that's a good or a bad thing? If I actively choose what I want to do.
Well, what happens if you're operating from the place of letting other people's perceptions drive your actions and what you want and what you desire? Do
But
you-
I just thought we said that I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, but where do you think you would be if you were doing it the other way around?
Probably wouldn't be doing it at all.
Doing what?
Turning up on a Sunday, even, or doing this, if I cared what other people would think.
Yeah. Would you be a happy person?
I don't know. I have no idea. Because that's not where I'm at the moment.
Just try guess, try and experience it, try and think through where that type of internal...
I probably wouldn't be with the awareness I have now, but if I didn't have the awareness I have now, I'd probably be ignorance is bliss. So I can't tell you, I've got to...
Until
if I can
everything
get my
falls apart.
If I get my crystal ball out, and have a look,
Yeah.
I can't tell you that. I'm
Yeah.
psychic, but not.
Okay.
So do we just do nothing? I'm confused. Do we do nothing, or we do something, or what do we do?
Well, what's the problem? Let's get clear on the problem. What is the problem? Because the same thing with the documentary. They talk about all this stuff. They talk about what the fuck is the problem?
So if you see a problem with your children, there's an imbalance or something, do you just stand back and not do anything?
What the hell does that have to do with
Well, this is the
anything?
same thing. I'm saying
I
something.
have active control over what my children kind of do.
Yeah. Probably not. Okay.
Look at the documentary. Like, you have no control over any of that.
But I'm not trying to change the people in the documentary.
Yeah, but what's the problem then?
The problem is that the pendulum swung too far into feminism.
But you have no control over what the pendulum
How
does.
do you know you don't?
Because you don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah,
You couldn't
true.
even tell me what your life would be like with
I
it.
got no idea then. I have no idea.
Well, yeah, look, I see what Will's saying, but I didn't watch the whole documentary,
Yeah.
so it's really hard to know what the other side of it was, because when I got to the point that she then went to interview a lot more feminist people this time. In the beginning, she was interviewing more the men and, you know, where they're at. It's a hard documentary to swallow, and I kind of see what Will's saying now that I've heard his side of it, because I was going, something this doesn't feel like all of a sudden guys are going, oh, but wait, what about me, sort of thing, you know? And we're going, So yes, what we can say is that women were suppressed, but it's also one of the things they said that was interesting.
No, hang on, well, maybe they weren't. Maybe
Well,
there was no problem.
one of the things that they
We
were
could go
saying.
back to that. Yeah, there was no problem.
Yeah, that's right. But one of the
So
things.
why did
that,
they try to fix it?
well, one of the
Fix
things
what?
they were saying though.
Well, I obviously saw a problem.
One of the things they were saying is, you know, it was all about gender, the gender kind of like, it was just given that, you know, guys go and produce, they do this, and girls or women, you know, stay at home and do the mommy whatever thing, you know. And they were talking about, well, they said it was the word gender, like, it's based on gender. It's just that because you are, you know, the man, you're supposed to provide, so that's what we're supposed to do, and women are supposed to. And I think what's happened now is that we're starting to come to a realization that, you know, the gender roles don't need to be that way, you know. And I think a lot of guys are starting to realize, as well as women, and I think we've started to go, well, women can do a lot of the same things guys can do as far as the world is right now. The only things that we cannot do is guys cannot have babies. That's just a biological thing. You know, women can have the baby, but after the baby is born, you know, guys can go home and do the job as well. It's not like you're different or opposed to it. But I think what's happened is, because women were stay there, the guys stay there, everybody started going, feeling, oh, well, poor the women, they're like oppressed, they're not allowed to do this, they're not allowed to do that, because that's their job, they need to stay home. And the guys are doing all this work, but what they're saying in the documentary is a lot of guys had to go and get jobs, or have to do things that maybe they really didn't want to do, but they were in that position where they had to do. And so I think, because what for me is also the lack of awareness in guys. Like, guys is in the masculine, there's more the masculine, where the masculine is like act, do, without actually listening to what's going in here and going, am I really happy doing this? Am I just doing this to fit the status quo? And I think that's where the problem is for us. It's not so much women and men, it's like we just fit the status quo and we accept it. But obviously for females it's different in the way that they have the children. So they will, is more of a, okay, it's more of an instinctual thing to do, that they have to stay home and feed their kids. But now they're starting to go, well, I also want my career. And some of them are not even having babies. A lot of women are choosing not to have babies because they want to have a career. And if they do choose to have babies, it's later in life now. They're not having babies. Before, you would see mothers have babies 17, 18, you know, very young. Now it's 30s, 40s, you know. So that's changing, you know, and that change is going to cause a little bit of friction, I think. You know, they were talking, oh, men take more roles and bigger jobs, and politicians. And one of the things they were saying, oh, but, you know, imagine politicians have to sacrifice all these things and sacrifice all these things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but I'm sure there's women that want to do that role. It's just that if they have babies, they can't for a while, until they kind of sort their lives out. So now that women are having babies later, I think that's what's going to start happening. We're going to just adapt to that. What it boils down to is the part of the law where, you know, we need to be able to, because what this guy was saying, he is basically, he tried to get his child to be part of his life, and then she just used all the tools possible for him not to be with his child. And that's tough. Like, I don't know what that would be like. You know, I do not know what that would be like. So yes, I get what you're saying as part of, like, it's because I'm not there, and part I haven't been oppressed, or I haven't been in a situation where I can relate to that, you know. Now, if let's say my people have been and I'm talking about, you know, let's say my people, my parents, or before that, they were oppressed for whatever reason, and I have anger inside of me, I'm going to come out. And I think this is where a lot of feminists, when you listen to a lot of feminists, they get so angry and they're fighting. I'm like, but has it affected you really? Like, is it affected you in a indirect way, or is it you just want to step up because you heard that some women in Africa are being, whatever's being done to them, and you don't like that, so you're gonna stand up for them? But is it really affected you? We don't know. So I can easily just go and say, I'm gonna stand for these guys that have been in this situation, but it hasn't really affected me. Now, if it's someone I know or a family relative, maybe is a bit closer to home, then I can kind of go, yeah, maybe I'll support this. But it's really hard to relate to it, And I found it really hard to relate to some of those situations in the documentary as well, because I really haven't been in that position. So I don't know. I don't know what it would be like. I don't know how I would want to react, and maybe makes me think, well, that's interesting that this is affecting some people, I don't know. I wouldn't know how to help, to be honest. I think is maybe bring awareness that people need to stand for themselves, and that can be challenging as well. So, yeah. But yeah, I think I would want to finish watching the documentary to really make an assessment, because I was feeling kind of this funny wave. Some things didn't make sense at the beginning. I was like, that just doesn't make sense, because really, even though it's been gender, males have had a very different way of seeing the world than females. This is a fact. There's no way we can doubt that we can change that. Now, if the world would have been more towards women being the opposite side, let's say the ones that provided and whatever, how would we be? I don't know. We would be in a different position. So I don't know how would a woman feel. They have to go to work, it's full of males, and they have to kind of. I've seen a few friends of mine that work at the mines. She was an electrician, and she said it was a very tough industry to be part of as a female. You think, well, I wouldn't even. It would, like, for me to be an electrician in the mines would be fucking crazy, I'd be going, because I'm not that sort of guy, I'm not that sort of guy that just.
You may not fit in.
It might not fit in for.
You'd fit in.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, you'd fit in.
You turn back with a little locker accent. Yeah, Blake.
Yeah, I'd just be like cracking
Bunch.
titties.
All the hair would be going from the front.
Titties,
It'll still be in the back.
titties.
Oh,
Huge
yeah,
mullet.
mullet. Party at the back.
Premium mullet.
Business at the
Be
front.
using like
Oh, yeah,
the
we
C
should
word
give him mullet.
every
I
other
reckon you'd look
sentence.
great with a mullet.
Hold him down.
Yeah.
Well, man, I'll be using the C word in every other word.
Live stream it.
Have you?
No, if I was working there, I'd be using the C word in every other
Well,
sentence.
chocolate.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it.
Cock.
Cacao.
Cock.
And drinking beer every day after work.
After? Before and during?
Probably.
Oh, you'll only do it during.
But yeah, I don't know.
It's a cop out. You can't just say, I don't know.
Like to go and work in as an electrician.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Big money,
Get
man.
your crystal ball
Big
out
money.
and predict.
Big money.
I want to know what you would
Big
feel like.
money.
Let me just
Yeah,
sit with it for a bit. It would be interesting. Look, it is an interesting subject, and I think for me, I think it's more important to look at your situation, like Will's saying, look at your situation, and see what you can do from that information you have, because all the statistics don't mean anything really. I mean, they're just there to tell you a number, but it doesn't.
So when
But it's hard
when
to-
you're looking at research on how to treat a patient, and it says statistics says
No.
we're talking statistics.
But that's
now.
my job.
Can I finish?
That's my job, to look at patient and help them. But if this is not my job to help people, I just saying that
but we're
statistic
talking.
is. I'm talking
statistics.
about more as an individual. The statistics can like if it's not affecting me, then it's hard for me to relate.
Let him make his statistics point.
You know what I
How's it
mean?
going now?
No, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but statistics, like you use numbers to make a decision, don't you, about what you do with a client? So how are those statistics in this situation irrelevant? Because that's what I heard. That it's just irrelevant because it's just statistics.
Because what I'm saying is, if it doesn't affect, like if let's say my job is to help those people, then I will go for the statistics and say, okay, how can I help? And I will try to figure out a problem, sort of solution to the problem. But it doesn't affect me. Therefore, for me, it's kind of, if it affected me, what does it matter? Well, let's say if it affected me, then the statistics will probably be more relevant. But even then, I have to mind myself in this situation, because this is more of a, you know, they're saying, for example, okay, more men die at the jobs, and more men have opportunity, or this and that, all these other numbers. Now you go into the job and you go, okay, you have a 95% chance of committing suicide being in this job.
Yeah.
Then you're
What is
gonna
it,
go,
lawyers?
maybe I'm not gonna go work there because this is gonna affect me in that way.
What is it like? Lawyers and depression is ridiculously high, and paramedics is ridiculously
Vets,
high.
medical, anywhere.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
it's also the
That's a
dentist.
good idea to edit.
I had this conversation with my daughter because she's studying veterinary.
Yeah,
It's
fucking.
like, you
fuck
should want to do
that.
this degree. Psychologist.
Why-
massive.
That's
Why?
a time when the statistics are good to use.
Yeah.
But
But-
why?
With
Why
the,
veterinary? Because they get paid shit. They have to deal with people who don't want to pay, so they're constantly chasing money.
The vets.
Yeah.
The vets.
Yeah. I remember I worked in a hospital. They're constantly killing stuff for no good reason. Like I remember the day I was there and they brought in this 5,000 whatever, $6 whatever dollar husky or something dog, right? And I shit you not, the owners brought it in because they got it for Christmas or something, and they were going on their holidays and couldn't be asked finding somewhere for it to be looked after, so they just brought it and got it put down. Now, and the vets aren't allowed to do anything with that, like they could rehome it, but they're not allowed to because it's the property of the client. So the client went, you just green dream it and put it down. So imagine doing that. So many people come in, it's not like the medical system where you've got Medicare and they have this thing, Hippocratic oath, where they have to save everybody, right? So they
put the dog down.
they could have a whole week where they just do nothing but kill stuff because people come in, oh, I can't afford it, just put it down.
Christmas time's coming up. Going on holiday.
You
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah, terrible, man. I remember walking into
Dose
work.
up on the antidepressants and
Yeah.
go to work.
I remember walking in there one week, and I was like, what is going on? Why is everyone so depressed? And they just went, we've just spent the last 2 weeks just killing everything.
Oh my god.
And then they have people who just won't pay, so they have to chase money, they don't get money. And the other reason why there's such high suicide rates is because they have access to the drugs to do it. There was a couple of guys here in Townsville, one of them just went and got the Lethabarb, which is the green dream, just hooked himself up to a cannula one afternoon, one evening, and just put himself to sleep, gone.
This was a vet.
Yeah, here in Townsville. It's too easy, they've got access to it, they've got access to S8 drugs.
So he just chose, boom, see you later, alligator.
See you later. They would have found him the next day
Mm.
or one day.
Mm.
Yes.
So this is where statistics are fucking useless.
How?
So you take those stories, and you go and talk to those vet kids, the ones starting first year. You go tell them. How many of them will think that they're the exception? The ones that need the information won't use it. The ones that it can help, they're already fucking gone.
How do you
I
know?
know.
How do you know that?
I know.
No,
I
you
know.
know everything.
No,
How do you
I
know,
know.
some people don't? It doesn't sink in. This is just all or nothing.
Yeah, because they don't
Remember,
need.
there's a pendulum.
If they understand, if they are capable of being saved, you don't need to go and save them. They'll save themselves.
So we should get rid of every helping industry in the world.
It's not a helping industry. I'm not saying the helping industries.
But the person who's gone along to tell them that is part of a helping industry. You go, hey, this is because they do that. There's a person at the vet school that is their job for the mental health of the students to be there to go, hey, this is what you're in for. This is the life of a vet.
Yeah.
So we just get rid of them.
So really, there's
Probably.
somebody guiding them through all that.
Fucking
Look,
Wow. That's
trying
incredible.
to ease them,
mental health
ease
is
it
huge
in.
students here.
Trying to ease it in rather than it be a fucking shock.
Well, we were using the example of a shock. I mean, they may use it as I don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's why we have mental health counsellors here at the uni. So we just get rid of them and go, you on your own, save yourself. Is that what you're saying?
What do the mental health counsellors do?
Help with mental health?
Do they though? Or they just sit there and
They-
listen?
No. There'll be people that actually counsel them. There's also the learning advisors who actually do that as well, help them teach. So we just get rid of everyone who helps. Just go your own way.
Yeah.
Everyone save yourself.
Might be
Don't do
easier.
Just
Might
get rid
be
of the
easier.
endos. Save yourself, mate.
No, come on.
That's
Come on.
right.
You're so
That's
extreme,
right.
aren't you?
No, well, there's nothing wrong with playing the devil advocate.
Oh, well,
Well,
you're
it's a
good
bit,
at that.
extreme, girlfriend.
But do we just get rid of them? Then do we not know there's these
Get rid of
people?
what?
Well, mental health
And
people.
why? What is the?
Well, you basically said everyone will just save themselves. So do we really need, and that, they're not going to hear it anyway.
Mm.
So do we not have those people for them to come to?
You have the information available for everyone, and it's already is available.
Prior to phones?
All the
Prior
information.
to phones?
Fucking, we're not prior to phones
No,
right
when
now.
we had phones,
We
so
have all the information that we need at our fingertips. All of it.
Not everyone knows how to use a phone, I hate to tell you.
Really?
My mum doesn't know how to use
Oh,
a phone
well,
well.
I see what
Oh, don't worry about her. She's alright.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I just thought you said someone like young. Everybody would be morally there.
I've seen some students here have fucking no idea how to use a computer or a phone. I've had to help them. Actually, they're not all.
Should you help them then?
Why would that be?
Apparently not.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if they're struggling that much, maybe it's no point trying to help them. Just let them sort it out on their own. Don't try and take that lesson from them. They have the capacity to teach themselves. They have the capacity
So
to learn for themselves.
what's the point of elders in the community?
Do we even have any elders?
Yes.
Do we really?
I don't know.
What
Do
was
we?
your definition of elder?
Do you go to your parents for advice?
Oh, all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah. Do I go to my parents? Yeah. Is that an elder getting advice from them? Who people who have wisdom and knowledge that they've learnt through the years that may not always be what you want to hear and it may not actually help, but sometimes it does.
Mhm.
So what's the point of elders? Because the elders were revered in Aboriginal communities
Oh, and yeah.
for that advice. Okay, this is the wisdom, and
Yeah.
it would be sought out by the young people. So you could say the same thing here. You've got a counsellor there. The student comes along and goes, "Hey, I'm having this problem. Can you give me advice of how
Some guidance.
to work through it?"
Yeah, of course.
Or do we just go, "No, on your way, you should be able. Here's the phone.
Yeah.
sort
Open
it
your
out."
eyes, pay attention. All the answers are already there for you.
Oh, I'm going to disagree with you because I think there's a thing with human interaction where it changes it. Just looking at a phone doesn't always. Someone else having
It's not
the
just a
experience-
phone though.
Someone
it's
talking
just
to
like
you.
it's paying attention to what the fuck's going on, what's actually going on, especially in your life. And know, like that, the same thing. Like the counselors and all the psychologists aren't going to be able to help you unless you can actually pay attention to what the fuck's going on, and you can give them the right information so they can help you.
But that doesn't
But
mean
that
you-
requires
that doesn't mean you
that
don't
person
help
to
them.
pay
But
attention.
that doesn't mean you don't help them.
How much help do you then do? Like if they're
I don't
actually
know.
paying
What's-
attention to
what's
the right
quantity
stuff.
in that? I can't quantify that. I can't quantify that.
Mhm.
It could be one session for one person. It could be three. Like, how do you build someone to have that awareness? Like, you've got it, and you just go, "Well, I've got the awareness." But when you were 18 or 19, or Jamie, when his hormones, do you think he's paying attention? Especially now they have phones,
Yeah, but
their
at
ability
that
to
point-
pay
that
attention
point,
to the world.
At that point, they're not supposed to be paying attention.
But still, there's kids.
You
at
can't
that
save them
age.
when they don't want to be saved. You can't help them when they don't want to be helped.
Some people don't know they need to be saved now.
And then by the time they want to be helped and want to be
I
saved, they
think
can
it's-
do it
I
themselves.
think we just have to disagree. To agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Because I see, otherwise I'll just stop turning up on Sundays. Because there's no point.
Well,
I'll
you're
stop
doing
the-
it to help and save people instead of doing it for your own
Yeah,
enjoyment.
there's both.
Well, then you can get rid of one and
Without,
just do
but
it for your
without
own
the purpose,
enjoyment.
no, because I'm not about that. I'm not about, otherwise that's just hedonistic to me. Otherwise I'll just go back to drinking. Because there's no purpose in that for me. The purpose is to give back to the community, to be part of the community, to share, to help people. Otherwise, I think that's an innate part of being human.
So if you're not helping people, you might as well just drink yourself to death.
Yeah? Just be done.
Okay.
No, but no. He's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, come on, that's too
Well,
much.
otherwise what makes us human if it's not to be there for our fellow human being? Otherwise we'll just go live by myself and do my own thing.
Oh, we need each other. That's for sure.
Exactly.
We need each other, and there's no doubt about
So
that.
it's that holistic approach to life. Otherwise, I just go play sport on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But then I'm still helping
And
my
it's
teammates to win.
interesting you see it that way, because if you look at the subject at hand, which is this, you know, feminist kind of this movement that guys want to be heard at a different level, because I think even in the movie they're saying, look, it's not about going against females and saying they shouldn't, all these things they belong, they're there for a reason, but it's also about being saying, well, whereas we also need the same things. You know, we also need shelter for men, we also need to be heard. We also need to understand that some jobs are not fun to do, but we do them because we need to support our families. And that is it, that's what it was saying. And there's a lot of people that do jobs that are horrible jobs. That they could potentially die for, you know, malpractices or whatever. You know, if you're doing big jobs, they can die. So I think that's a very important part of being human, is to be able to understand that side. And she did a good job at that. She kind of did say, look, I've been seeing it the wrong way, but she's like, I'm not against now feminists. There was a couple incidents where this guy was doing a talk. There's a doctor that used to be quite a feminist movement and did a lot of work. I don't remember his name in the movie, but he was doing a talk, and there was a group of feminists outside going off, like you're talking, calling everybody that was going into this conference all sorts of names and screaming. I'm going, geez, that's extreme. Like, why are they so angry? Oh, he's a rapist and this and that. I'm going, no, that's not true. Like, where are you making up that story? Because it's not sitting in your fence. And I've always had a bit of an issue with some of those feminists that are. I remember one time, I tell you, I met this lady, and she basically didn't like me for some reason, and maybe it's because I was a guy.
Excellent.
And she started going off at me. She said, "Oh, it's because you're a guy, you know. It's all about you can get what you want, and everything in your life's been given to you. For us, women, has been different." And she was giving me such a hard time, and I go, "Hey, why are you attacking me? Like, if you have a problem with guys, that's your problem. But I haven't done anything to you. I haven't said anything about anything. I haven't mentioned anything about." Guys should be working and women should be in the kitchen, because I've actually never been brought up like that. You know, I didn't see that. Life wasn't like that for me.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's a bit interesting to see it that way. So in a way, what you're saying is, if we can do something, spread that word of awareness. Basically,
I'm not saying we have to go out and save all these blokes, but it's raising the awareness that actually if we raise the awareness, maybe it'll shift some of these women back to. Oh,
and maybe also make boys bring their voice up to and talk. Hey, maybe I don't want to.
That's
be
right.
Like this.
You educate the young fellas in this go. Although,
But young fellas don't want to be educated.
how do you know that?
He's terrible.
How do you know that?
It's like, bro, I went through it, and
But that's your experience. You can't speak for everybody else. This is your
they
experience.
don't need the information. They can't use any information. You give them the information, they have no reference point where it actually means anything. Yeah. So a lot of going through like.
But maybe if we educated them, they wouldn't marry the fucking crazies that end up in the hospital. That too.
We need to get the hard crazy scale needs to be given.
If there was better role models and elders, and children weren't put in schools and disconnected from that, then maybe all that stuff wouldn't happen.
It's not the elders, and it's not the only people that fuck you up are your parents.
But they're your elders.
No, they're your parents.
They're older than you, so they're your elders.
Yeah, but they're children.
But they're not only people in your life.
They're still, but they are the only two people that actually influence you into being who you are.
No, disagree.
I watch it happen all the time.
There's other people that influence you as well. There's your
but
peers, your teachers.
Your
There's
parents.
a whole community in there.
It's your parents.
They're not everything.
The parents don't have the support of the elders or the community because the tribe itself has been destroyed.
And
We don't have a community, we don't have a tribe.
Mm.
But it's your parents. Your parents have done all the the things that you think is wrong in the world was gifted to you by your parents.
Mm.
And it's not until you can move further, incorporate what they've given you and transcend past it, that you'll really understand how to move forward with your life. Otherwise you're still living off their scripts that they've given you. But you can go and tell someone that, they won't know what the fuck to do, and they won't understand why.
So why do you want to start your business where you're actually staying with people and like teaching people that stuff? Why are you helping people then? If they can only say, why are you bothering if you get all you, I can give you some information, but you're not going to get it. Just go save yourself.
It's not that they won't get it. I'm not going out there to tell other people. If people are coming to me to understand.
Oh, so that's where we're seeing the difference.
Mm.
So that's what I'm saying. If guys come to us, what's wrong with saying, well, here's the statistics, how can we shift this?
The statistics aren't what you need to change. It's what.
I'm not changing the statistics.
Well, what is the problem that you're gonna? So he comes to you with a problem, and he thinks that this is what the problem is.
What's the problem?
That he's still living off old scripts, old paradigms that were created when they were children. Like expecting, like
this
you
person-
see the
this
MRA
person is
expecting
still-
the world to be
this
fair.
person- I'm not
Expecting
saying the world's
to
not
be
being
no, but
fair.
You hear it in the documentary.
I'm not.
They
yeah,
want
I'm
the
not
world to
saying-
be fair.
But this is not the world being. Yeah, that's those guys. But so I'm talking about this person that comes to me and I go, okay, yes, this is what happens in our society.
Hmm.
Be aware of it. I'm not saying it's going to change and it's going to be fair, but be aware of how this is where it is and how you could possibly get screwed. Like the legal system. Well, I've seen plenty of guys. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
This is what could happen to you. Awareness, plan for it, blah, blah, blah. Without that awareness with someone else who's been through that experience, what's the point?
Well,
So why have the men's group where guys come and go, hey, this is what's happening to me. Has anyone else had that experience? I have.
Yes.
Here's
It's
information.
just something
This
you
is
need
what
to know.
generally happens to guys.
Yeah.
It's only when it starts happening though, and the shit starts going wrong.
I didn't
that
say
they'll
I
look
never
for
say
the
anything about we
information.
go out and start standing on the street corner like a feminist and
Mm.
so, well, not all, those guys as well, and feminists, and preaching. I'm saying having that knowledge when guys come to us and women, because there'll be women that come and go, hey, this is happening to my son. This is what, and why is that happening to my son?
Mm.
With his marriage breakup. We've seen that as well.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, well, this is the way the state of play happens in Australia, America, England. It's all under the same judicial system and the same mindset, which has been created by our parents,
Yeah.
that is now permeated through society. Be Gandhi, be the change in the world you want to see. So if it starts with you, you change, here's the information, I'll give it to you. I'm not saying I'm going to come hold your hand and that's the information, you do what you want with it. I'm not out there to stand on the street corner with my placard, okay,
But I
men
suppose-
are being wrongly done by.
Well,
Because I completely agree with not actively going and say, oh, you know, we're getting hardly done by, we're doing it. I'm more of like, it's about awareness, it's about because if you'll attract the guys to us, as you said, that want this information. I've got the information, here it is. You do what you want. If you need any more help, blah, blah, blah. I don't chase it either. So that's kind of what I'm saying.
It's just it's not wasting
I'm not
your
about to go start a
energy
website
going and
so young
saying
people
this
can
is
read
how-
it to go, hey, I
Yeah.
can read my phone and this is what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that's just as bad as either side. Going jumping up and down.
Yeah.
I think as
Yeah. Well, like the
someone who's-
guy was
yeah.
in the guy that was in the documentary. Like he told his whole life story, and this is how she fucked me up, and this is.
Mm.
But in his story, in his own words, he fucked it up. He chose to stay around, and she was an physically abusive partner, and he chose to stay there until she got pregnant, and he saw that it was a bad idea,
Yeah.
but decided to stay there,
Yeah.
and then wants to blame her for all the stuff. No, you That's
That's your
where
creative.
But
lacked.
that's where he's at the journey. But I can speak exactly the same thing because I've been
you
through
did
that,
the same.
and I was the victim for a while until I had other people that came into my life that I went actively seeking. You know, hey, what's going on here? And without their experience and their knowledge, which then passed down to me, aka they're an elder, or whatever you want to call whatever word, older person, who it could have been a younger person who's had that experience. So hey, this is what's happened, and then that knowledge was gifted to me, and that has happened so many times with me. People will come and Ian, this is what's going on. Like, stood in my front
Oh yeah.
driveway, and I sorted his relationship out. I said, this is what's happening for you, and because he was going to get back to her, like she threatened him with a knife, chasing him down the street, and I said, this is from what you're telling me. Yeah, Kat, this is what's happening. Without the experiences that I had, I was able to relay that to him. I wasn't standing there at the front with a psychologist sign or whatever saying, come chat to me.
He needed that.
And he messaged me later and go, thanks.
He
it was
saved
the best.
his life.
Yeah, because he left her.
Yeah.
You know, without that,
It was
then
good. He needed that, man. It was just.
otherwise I could have just gone, oh, hang on, I'm not here to save anyone, just fuck off.
But it comes down to the same thing too. Like, what type of person entertains a relationship like that?
Lots
And
of
if
people.
he doesn't,
More than we realise.
yeah, but do you understand that there's a certain level of self-respect that you have to lack to be in a relationship in a space like that?
But does that mean we don't help him?
No, that means you got to be very careful about the way you help people. So there is a core, there is a seed and a root to that problem that exists further down, and kicking the can down the road, just pretending like she was the problem, isn't the answer. He chose that
Yeah,
relationship.
so that's,
He stayed there long enough.
I'm completely agree with you.
You understand
I'm
what I'm
completely,
saying.
and that's why I had to sit with him and go, this is who you are. I said, you're codependent. So I was able to show him two sides of the coin. You're doing this because of A.
Yeah.
She's doing what she's doing because of B. You're both allowing this situation to happen. Someone needs to go, enough's enough because you're not healthy.
Yeah.
So, and that was only through my own experiences and other people telling me the same thing. Because I always sit there and go, blah, 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 they've done this, well, hang on, well, what is your part in that journey? And it was without that awareness. So that's where I see the value in my experiences in life to gain that wisdom to then be able to come and teach other people the same thing. Otherwise, what was the point in me learning all that? Otherwise, now I just
So
go,
you don't have to repeat it.
yeah, and help others, because when I see it in other people, then I go, okay, well, it's still turning up. So it's the
But
whole
you will.
haven't
But if you
completely
hear it in
healed
other
myself.
people,
So
unless
I
they ask
do
for
tie
help,
it still back to me.
unless they ask for help, do you just sit back and wait? That's probably what it is, and I totally understand when Will was saying if you present the statistics to a group.
I'm not into jamming it down people's throats.
You know,
look
if
at me
you,
with
if
the
you
carnival
present
eye,
it, yeah, of course, if you present it in front of people and say these are the statistics, this is that, it's probably gonna be maybe 5% of people will go maybe listen and go okay,
But
but
if you
even
can-
then it's very little.
But
that
if you
most-
can change one person's life, that's
yeah, no, I'm saying,
job
but what
done.
I'm saying is if
Doesn't have to be the whole
if
100.
You can't change one person's
if
life.
you
you can.
You have to
Fine.
change your own life.
Hey?
If people
so
change
maybe
their own lives.
maybe you should start going to all this.
So
maybe
don't
maybe you
bother.
should
Don't
become
bother
a,
then, I
maybe
won't
you should
talk to
become
you.
a speaker.
We don't need this podcast anymore.
You should become a speaker.
We don't need
You go
the
to all
podcast
these.
anymore.
We're not here to change people's lives, mate. We're not here to change
We're
people's
just here to
lives.
have fun, so.
That was an interesting
Of course.
conversation. I really enjoyed. Will, just
That was good.
yeah,
I
Will
like it
is
when
like
it's
really into it. No, it's good. Will
Friction.
has a different view and wants to just.
Yeah, it's good when that happens because then it brings out
Oh, it's a good conversation.
your own
and it was
thoughts
pretty.
and it makes you think about where you're at and why
Yeah,
you
no,
do stuff.
it's interesting for sure. I one of the things of watching the documentary, I was kind of like, because I've always been like, yeah, women need to be put back into kind of equalized things, but I was always, and so some of the things were a bit like, I feel like I'm a bit of a feminist at times. You know,
Oh,
I want this, but then
yeah, it wasn't, that's not, yeah.
then you watch the documentary and you kind of do sit back and go, why some of the things they're saying don't resonate really with what I believe.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But like,
There's
I mean,
there's
if
the
it
two
happened to
extremes.
me, would it happen to me? How
There's
then
the
I
two
would have
extremes.
responded. And one of
So-
the things that happened is with, like, for example, the custody thing, because I
Mm.
didn't know that
Yeah.
many men. I always thought, well, guy kind of walks away, but it's not the real deal. Like, I know that if I've, you know, broke up with Leanne, I would want to be in my kid's life as much as I can, you know?
So, like, the example for you is then, and maybe you will, but if, like, Jamie gets married and something happens, do you support him, or do you just go, you're on your own, save yourself, because you made the fucked up decision?
No. Of course not.
Because you're his older person who has some
Yeah,
experience
yeah.
and wisdom that you've gathered
We're not
from learning from me. Or you might come to me
But
and go,
according to Will, I was the one that fucked up him, so I have
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
sure
yeah,
I
yeah.
fix the problem.
but then you might come to me and go, hey Ian, you've been through this before, what is your experience, how do you think I could help him? And that's what we do for each other.
Well, for sure. Yes.
It doesn't necessarily mean I'm directly changing his life, but I'm giving you the information that could help him to change his
Yeah,
life.
your child.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can help your children.
Oh, you can help his
That's
children.
like one of the few people that you actually are responsible for helping.
See,
Like, yeah,
what I
that's
mean.
your obligation
For the rest of your life.
for for your entire fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And then even if they're fucking it up, like, you can't fix it for them unless they're ready to fix it. But you can't have to sit there with them through it, because their mistakes are actually your mistakes.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, I completely agree. But
So your kids have done pretty well so far.
oh, they're still gonna fuck up, I'm sure. Guaranteed. Yes, I'm ready for that. Because look at me.
From pretty good stock.
Look at me.
All right.
Guaranteed. We're gonna tell them I fucked up. They're gonna fuck up too. So yeah, we're gonna do a take out. Oh, wait, we're gonna go see it.
Oh,
later.
sorry. Wait,
Oh,
say
yeah.
goodbye. You can cut me getting up.
Thank you for that.
Thank
I'm
you.
never bringing your topic back again. No, just kidding. Thank you everyone for watching today. That was a really great conversation. It's good to see opposing views. That's the point of these conversations. So keep on watching, and we'll see you again soon. Catch ya.